Hi, my name is Ron Clark, and I'm the new Executive Director for Kairos Church Planting. Since Stan and Gina Granberg began Kairos Church Planting support in 2005, we have helped to train over 230 leaders to work with church plants. We've given over 200 assessments for church planters. We've helped to see 46 congregations and campus ministries begin throughout the world. 81 congregations have partnered with us to donate over $5 million to church planting. And we just want to take this time to thank you for your support. During COVID-19, our church planters have adapted well. They've found ways to continue to do ministry, and we have a pipeline of new people wanting to join us. So we have turned our discovery and strategy labs into a digital format to train new people. We're still doing the work. We appreciate your prayers and your support. Please remember us December 1st, 2020 at #GivingTuesday. Thank you, and God bless you for all your support.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my turn till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my turn till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now the mercy has saved my soul, and now your freedom is all that I know. The old man, Jesus, when I met you, oh, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy. The chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day.
Good morning, church family. One of the ways that we can practice the presence of God is by coming around the table and taking of the communion together. As we close this series today and we practice the presence of God, I encourage you to take a minute, pause, and take of this meal, whether it's in your home, with your family, or with friends later on in the week. And I encourage you to be still in the moment in which you take this meal and remember that God did not send his son to die and then to leave, but God sent his son to die so that we could be made clean and whole and then send his spirit to reside here with us. God is near. God is here with us always. And in these moments in which we take of this bread and this juice, we remember just how near he came. And so, as we reflect on this time and on this meal, I encourage you to take a minute. You can pause the video right here. And then when we resume, enjoy and let this next song wash over you as we reflect on the words, "Oh, love that will not let me go." God has promised that he will always be here, that he will never leave us, and that his love will never fail. And so together we take this meal.
Hey, VanChurch family and friends, thank you for being part of this teaching time. In 2009, I got an opportunity to see one of my favorite bands in concert, the band U2. They're known for their epic shows, and it's really special to get to be there in person and be part of something with all those people, almost 100,000 people. So we're there, and the first song begins, and I'm just so excited, and I don't want this moment to pass by. So I pull out my camera, and I start recording. And I end up recording like the entire concert. And about 3/4 of the way through the set, I realized what I was doing. There's U2 on the stage, in person, and I'm there in that moment with all of these other people singing their lungs out. And what am I doing? I'm watching the concert through this tiny little screen, trying to capture the moment. I was so busy trying to make something of that moment that I was missing the very special thing happening right in front of me. Have you ever realized that you're missing something because you're so busy trying to not miss it? It's like those dads at the recital or the game or the birthday party who are so busy running the video camera that they miss the event. Today we wrap up this series on prayer. And I've got to say, often when I pray, I'm so busy praying that I'm missing the very special thing that's happening in that moment. Often, I'm so busy talking at God or talking to God or listening to God, saying all the things, trying so many different things, that I fail to recognize the radical truth that right here in this place, being with God is not only possible, it's the reality of what's happening. So that brings us to one of the texts we're going to look at today, a story about Jesus from the Gospel of Luke. Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42, which says, as Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Martha did what most of us would be doing. She's like the dad with the video camera, fluttering around, making sure things are happening, making sure everything's taken care of, trying to do all the things, and missing the joy of the moment. Jesus is in her house. Mary chooses what's better, the only thing needed. She chooses to sit in the presence of Jesus. These two women embody the struggle that many of us have with prayer. Most of us pray like Martha. We're fluttering around trying to get things done, trying to make something happen in our prayer, trying to speak to God, trying to pour ourselves out to God, trying to listen to God, trying. And perhaps what we need most is to stop and hear Jesus reminding us that only one thing is needed. And that's to choose the better thing, the best thing, being with God. Being with God is really the essence of prayer. Mother Teresa was known for being a woman of prayer, and at one point someone was writing an article about her and asked her in the interview, "You pray for hours at a time. What do you say for that long?" And Mother Teresa said, "I listen." So the reporter asked, "Well, then what does God say to you for all of that time?" And she smiled and just said, "He listens." In Exodus chapter 24, verse 12, God tells Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and commandments I have written for their instruction." Those words there in that verse, "come up on the mountain and then stay here," actually just mean be here. So God tells Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and then be on the mountain with me." This isn't about coming or going or doing or accomplishing. It's about being with God. We're invited not just to pray, but to live a life that is prayer, to find ourselves in God's presence. In this kind of prayer, I don't pray to get anything from God or to get God to do anything for me. And not even because this kind of prayer benefits me, although it does. I pray in this way because all I want is to just be with God. Those who experience this sometimes use the language of union with God. David understood this when he wrote in Psalm 139, 7 through 12, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you." In this experience of prayer, we abandon all our activity and simply dwell in the presence of God with an open heart and open hands. There's this amazing story in Genesis chapter 28. A man named Jacob is running away from his life, running away from his family. And he doesn't know where he's going, and he doesn't really know who he is. And it says in verse 11 of Genesis 28 that he came to a certain place. It's not very descriptive. It's an important point because there's absolutely nothing special at all about this place, just a certain place. But then he lays down to fall asleep, and he has a dream where he sees a ladder with angels on it, revealing that heaven and earth are actually connected in this place, that the holiness of God is not far away in some other realm, that it's a thin space where God is near. And when he wakes up, he's amazed. And it says in Genesis chapter 28, verses 16 through 17, when Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." He was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." Jacob had discovered this astonishing truth. If God is in this place, this place where nothing happens, this random place, this place that is not special in any way, this certain place, if God is in this place, if this place can be the house of God, then maybe God could be in that place, or that one, or that one, or even this one, even here, even now, in traffic, at home, at work, in hospital waiting rooms, in a refugee camp, at school, while folding the laundry. Or as Barbara Brown Taylor says, earth is so thick with divine possibility that it is a wonder we can walk anywhere without cracking our shins on altars. You don't have to be a spiritual master sitting cross-legged in a monastery on the side of some mountain, because the unspeakable mystery of the divine is right here in our midst, waiting to be discovered. Waiting for us to come and commune, to be with him. That's what Jesus came to show us. He came to show us this intimacy with the Father, that the relationship that he had with God is now available to all of us. That you don't have to climb some ladder, that you don't have to be some sort of spiritual master, but that it's available to all of us here and now. That the Spirit of God wants to reside in us, in you and in me, and that the whole earth is full of God's glory. That's why when Jesus is crucified, the temple curtain that separated the Holy of Holies, God's very presence, separated it from where everyone else was. That temple curtain is torn in two, signaling that God's presence is no longer contained in a building or in a box or in a place or for a certain group of people, but the presence of God is everywhere. And that we may come boldly and freely and be with God. Each week, I've tried to offer some practical suggestions for how to embrace and practice each kind of prayer that we've talked about. And so today, I want to invite you to consider the following ideas. The first is called practicing the presence of God. There was a man named Brother Lawrence who lived in a monastery, and he wasn't a spiritual master. In fact, he wasn't even a monk. He was basically the janitor and the cook for the monastery. He spent his days doing menial and mundane tasks so that the monks could be free to do all the spiritual things. But over time, Brother Lawrence discovered this radical truth that he could converse with God and just be with God as if God was just another person right there in the room with him at all times. And so he started what became known as this practicing the presence of God. And pretty soon the monks started coming to Brother Lawrence asking him, how is it that you spend so much time each day with this awareness that God is near, that God is with you? He became aware of God's presence with him while he was sweeping the floors and washing the dishes and baking bread and taking out the trash. See, we tend to think that holy things only happen in holy places. So we think we have to go to the mountain or find the burning bush or take a pilgrimage to some special place. But is it not just as holy to pack lunches for school? To spread peanut butter and jelly over slices of bread as a simple act of love for someone precious that you love? To recognize in that moment, that most mundane of all moments, that God sustains, that God provides, that God created taste and delight and joy, and that even this moment right here is special and holy, and that God is here with you in this. That God watches over and joins us at tables. Maybe the ground is holy wherever you're standing, because God is with you, even there. So practice the presence of God. Practice it until you become aware and more aware of it all the time. The second practice is to get lost. One time I was on a trip with a group of friends and we got totally lost. I mean, completely lost. We were in a foreign country and we had no idea where we were going. And in the moment, it was stressful. But now, when I look back on that trip, it feels like it was such an adventure. Because here's the truth about getting lost with friends. We aren't lost when we're together. I want to invite you to get lost with God. I know that can be a challenge with the responsibilities that you have, but as you're able, find time, make opportunities to just go and be. Go on a hike, sit on the porch, and remember that not all who wander are lost. And the third practice is to see differently. I want you to take a look at this on the screen. What do you see? What does this say to you? It's all about having eyes to see, where some people see nothing, or absence. Maybe because you've learned to see differently. Maybe you see something. My favorite part of a wedding is when the bride walks down the aisle. It's called the first look. When the bride comes in, and it's that moment when everyone stands up and sees the bride for the first time and turns and watches her walking down the aisle. But my favorite thing to do in that moment is not to watch the bride, but to turn and to watch and see the face and the reaction of the groom, seeing his bride beautifully dressed just for him. I love these pictures, these moments. Take a look at these pictures of grooms seeing their brides for the first time. This is how God looks at you. He knows you. He wants you. You've been made and prepared for Him. And when He sees you in His presence, He's speechless. And it's enough for Him to just be with you. 2 Corinthians 3:16-18 says, "But whenever anyone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we all who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. So may you look upon His face and see that He's smiling. May you dwell in His presence daily. May you get lost in Him as you see all that is, everything that is around you, everything that exists, as a reflection of His goodness and His love. May you learn to practice the presence of God. And may you find the joy of being with Him.
the oceans